A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. And there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does this concern me? How does this concern of yours affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servers, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding about 20 or 30 gallons. And Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. And then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it came from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then, when the people have drunk freely, an inferior one. But you have kept the good wine until now." And Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. Father Francis here on this very special 360-degree video. If you look around, you'll see that I am in the snow. Yeah, it's Thursday, I think the 16th or the 17th of January, and I came in search of the snow, and lo and behold, I have found it. Yes. Okay. Today we celebrate the second Sunday in Ordinary Time. And so I've been kind of wanting to get up to the mountains again, as I am wont to do, because I knew that if I went high enough, I would find snow. And lo and behold, here it is. And so I'm making this 360-degree video for you. I'm hoping this will work. So if you're watching this video, I was able to get it to work. So there we go. So here we are on this second Sunday in Ordinary Time. We have said adieu to Christmas and New Year's, and now we have started a brand new year, and with all the things that means. And so today, I wanted to focus on just one simple theme that the readings bring about. And I was asking myself earlier in the week, I said, what have been some of my greatest challenges? Looks like the snow is kind of dying down a little bit? Maybe a little bit. So the reason why I was thinking about that, I'd kind of like to get out here in the snow and just maybe do a little bit of filming instead of being inside the cab of my truck here. If I could find some place to go on the side. Ooh, that's pretty. So you'll have to kind of excuse me. I was planning on something a little bit different, and I got kind of moved along by a Caltrans truck. I guess they felt that I needed to move along. I was parked, and maybe they feel that I was going to maybe put myself in danger of being snowed in or something. Although it looks like now we've got snow mixed with rain. So, oh well. I got a little bit of what I want, what I came for. So, I was thinking about, in the course of this week's readings at Mass, and kind of, I think it started with the Wednesday's Gospel, where the disciples, where Jesus cured Simon Peter's mother-in-law, and how after she had been healed, she started waiting on them. In other words, that when Jesus heals us, it's to put us back into service. And so but from that, I kind of began to do a little bit more digging and said, well, here's a person who they said that she had a fever. Fevers can be pretty miserable things. Just ask yourself, how did you feel when you had the flu the last time, if you had it recently? Didn't feel all that great. And, when you're not feeling good, you're just not yourself. But there are much more serious things than the flu, although the flu can be quite serious if you're not careful. So, I started thinking, it's interesting because sometimes we discover our greatest strengths at the height of our infirmities and our weaknesses, our brokenness, things that reduce us, things that limit us, things that diminish us sometimes. And I began to kind of see kind of an interesting pattern, at least in my life. I think I could say this was true. Has been true. That some of my greatest weaknesses have actually been the precursors to some of my greatest strengths. Or maybe another way of looking at it, some of the things in my life that have not been the greatest. I've been able to turn those liabilities into assets. Maybe that's another way of looking at it. Turning a weakness into a strength. And this is what we find today in the gospel. Jesus is at a wedding, and something happens where the wine runs. Could be seen in Jewish culture, especially in the light of a wedding, a great celebration, as very humiliating. Kind of a real source of embarrassment and shame. It's like, people would kind of, behind your back, say some pretty, maybe unpleasant things, like either you're super stingy or cheap, or maybe you're not somebody who is capable of, throwing this kind of a celebration. What were you thinking? That kind of a thing. So, behind the scenes, this groom probably has no idea what's going on. But Mary knows what's going on. And this also could be a very beautiful Marian homily. Tells us about her intercession for us with her son. And so, anyway, Jesus is unaware at this point, but Mary makes him aware. And so, it's sort of like, well, what is this? Some people read this sometimes as a negative, that Jesus is scolding Mary, or almost like, don't bother me. Why do you bring me this problem? But really what many scholars say the best interpretation is what is required of us here. And then, so she just, now that she has his attention, she knows that all will be well, all manner of things will be well, all things will be well. So, Jesus basically gives some simple instructions to the stewards. They go fill the water jars with water. He says whatever it is, the blessing, or touches the water. Not exactly sure what exactly happens, but anyway, the water has now become wine. But it's not only become wine, it's become the choicest of wines, the most delicious wines. And so now the groom, when he begins to realize that there was a quote-unquote problem, the beautiful thing is that the problem has already been resolved. By the time he is aware that there was a problem, it's no longer a problem. It's not a problem. I love it. And so that's what it is. And so in many ways, sometimes the weaknesses that we have, the disappointments that we have, the setbacks that we have, if we can humbly accept them at that time, believe it or not, God can do some amazing things through them for us to reveal His glory. So today I would simply encourage you, if you're watching this video, by the way, thank you for doing so, What is it that's, say, your greatest weakness in your life? This is my little exercise I'm trying to do. Name the greatest weakness in your life and realize that it can be, believe it or not, a threshold to turning that into a great strength for you. Now, I have to be honest, it's not going to maybe be an easy thing. It may not happen overnight, may not even happen over a year, but if you give it some prayerful thought and consideration and really take it to the Lord in prayer and ask Him to help you take this weakness or this, whatever it is, disappointment, setback, and turn it into something that's strong, and it's an asset now, it's a strength, I believe that in time you too will begin to see that God can take our greatest weaknesses and turn them into some of our greatest strengths. Well, anyway, I hope you got something out of that today, driving with me in this 360 video. I'm on my way back to Chico now, as I'm driving through these beautiful high Sierras, the highlands, as I affectionately call them. Great lads and lassies. So Father Francis here, and we're heading back home to Chico, and that's where we'll put together this grand video, this grand 360 video with snow and rain and all the beautiful creation of God's world. So until next time, we'll see you later now. Bye bye.